All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to say call halayim Yahweh. Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakal Quitash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, who have taught me this truth and who rule well in this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 and the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel that is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Peace and mercy unto you. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you are the true Hebrew Israelites that the Bible speaks of. You are the true chosen people of the book. All right, so in this lesson, what I want to go into today, all right, is this book once again. All right, if you go back 2 videos ago, all right, I had went into this book going into the going into the island of Puerto Rico and Jamaica, man. All right, so the name of this book is The Destruction of the Indies, is also known as The Devastation of the Indies. I think that's the original title of the book. All right, The Devastation of the Indies, but right here it reads The Destruction of the Indies, all right, by Bartolome de las Casas, all right? So let's get into this book, man. We're going to go into the island of Hispaniola. All right, what happened to the island of Hispaniola when the Spaniards, all right, the Europeans, the so-called white man Esau Edom, came over here to the New World, man. All right, this book reveals how Esau Edom, all right, he has a lot to pay for, man. All right, for what he has done to the nation of Israel. All right, which is you Negroes, you Latinos, and you Native Americans. Esau Edom, the so-called white man, all right, he has a lot to pay for what he has done to the apple of the Lord's eye, to the Lord's chosen people, man. All right, all the cruelty, all right, the great destruction and hell, all right, throughout the course of history, all right, that Esau Edom had put on the nation of Israel, man. They got a lot to pay for, man. All right, Esau Edom till this day is our #1 enemy, man. To you Negroes, you Latinos, and you Native Americans, man. So let's get into it, man. And this book goes into that, man. The atrocities, man. All right, how Esau Edom dealt with Israel, man. All right, so let's go into it. We're gonna go into Hispaniola. All right, so let's get into it, man. All right. All right, Esau Edom has been our #1 enemy since the beginning of time. All right, until this day. All right, because like Ezekiel the 35th chapter says, all right, that they have had a perpetual hatred. Perpetual hatred means nonstop. All right, never ending. All right, till this day, Esau Edom, the so-called white man, hates you Israelites, man, you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans. All right. But anyway, let's just get into it. All right, as you see right here, it says Hispaniola. All right, it says, as we have said, the island of Hispaniola was the first to witness the arrival of the Europeans. All right, and that island of Hispaniola is split between what's known today as Haiti and the Dominican Republic, man. All right, they shared that island of Hispaniola. All right, now the Haitians are from the tribe of Levi of the nation of Israel. All right, and the Dominicans are from the tribe of Simeon of the nation of Israel. All right, those are all Israelites. All right, they're both Israelite. Those are both Israelite tribes, man. Israelite nations, man. All right, because every tribe is a nation within itself too, as well. All right, it says, as we have said, the island of Hispaniola was the first to witness the arrival of the Europeans, Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right, and the first to suffer the wholesale slaughter of its people and the devastation and depopulation of the land. You see, all right. The Esau Edom has always been about the slaughter of you Israelites, man. All right, and the devastation and depopulation of y'all, man. Of you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, man. Come on, all right. It says, the island of Hispaniola was the first to witness the arrival of the Europeans and the first to suffer the wholesale slaughter of its people and devastation and depopulation of the land. Yeah, the very first thing that Esau Edom did when he came in contact, all right, with the Israelites in the New World was slaughter them and depopulate them, man. All right. Come on, man. All right, they have dealt treacherously with the nation of Israel, with the apple of the Lord's eye until this day, because the Lord didn't forget about none of this, man. This is why the Lord said, those who, matter of fact, let's grab it. All right, let's grab it. Revelation 13. All right, Revelation 13 and starting at 10. All right, Revelation 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So who led the nation of Israel into captivity? Who led the Negro, Latino, Native American man into captivity? All right, Esau, Edom. And also the other nations had their hand in the cookie jar as well. They all partook in the captivity here in America, man, during the transatlantic slave trade, man. You know? And going back all throughout the course of history, all throughout the ancient world, man. All right, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. All right, so since Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he had led us into captivity. All right, there's going to be a time when he goes into captivity. All right, and that's when Yahweh sends Yahweh Shai back down here, man. All right, to make the nation of Israel, to Israelites, to be kings and gods and the rulers of this planet Earth once again, and all these other nations, all right, including Esau, Edom, all right, our number one enemy, the so-called white man, he's going to be our slave and subject on this earth, man. All right, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. All right, and that describes Esau, Edom to the T, man. He has done nothing but slaughter, like it says right here. All right, let's go to it. All right, all right. The island of Hispaniola was the first to witness the arrival of the Europeans and the first to suffer the wholesale slaughter of its people and the devastation and depopulation of the land. All right, so ever since we came in contact with them, all they have done was slaughter us, man. All right, ever since they have came in contact with the new world, all right, Esau, Edom has done nothing but slaughter us and oppressed us, man. All right, and the scriptures say, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. So Esau, Edom, in return, he has to be killed with the sword, man. And that's exactly what is going to happen. That is exactly what is going to happen. All right, when you read matter of fact, let's go into it. Matter of fact, no, I'll save it for later. If it be the Lord's will, I'll go into it. All right. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. The saints are the Israelites. All right. So this is what the Israelites are patiently waiting for, to put Esau, Edom, and these other nations into captivity. All right. Because they had put us into captivity and has killed us with the sword. Now it's time for them to go into captivity and for them to be killed with the sword. All right. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. All right. All right, please excuse me. I had to pause the video real quick. But anyway, like I was saying, all right, Revelation 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And again, the saints are the Israelites. These are what the Israelites are patiently waiting for when the Lord comes back, to put Esau, Edom, and these other nations into captivity, man. Because just like how they had us in the captivity, is their turn to go into captivity, like the scripture said. Like the matter of fact, let's grab it. All right, Jeremiah 30 and 16. All right, let's grab it. All right, therefore all they that devoured thee shall be devoured. So the Lord said, everyone that devoured us, all right, the Israelites, you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, they're going to be devoured. All right, they're going to be what's going to be done, what has been done unto us, all right, by the hands of Esau, Edom, and these other nations. But first and foremost, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he's our number one enemy. To you Israelites, to you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, the Lord said, all that devoured us shall be devoured. All right, therefore all they that devoured thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. Yeah, so just like they had put us into captivity and oppressed us, all right, the Lord said, every one of them, all of our adversaries shall go into captivity. and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for prey. Yeah, it's going to be a complete role reversal, man. All right, the first shall be last, and the last shall be first, man. You understand? You see? All right, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. Yeah. All right, and as we're reading right now, all right, we're reading about how Esau Edom has devoured us, man. All right, but now it's his turn to be devoured when the Lord returns, man. All right, he's going into slavery, he's going into captivity, he's going to be devoured, he's going to be destroyed, he's going into hardcore slavery. Just like they whipped and put us through atrocities and slaughtered us, they're going to be slaughtered and put through atrocities as well, man. All right, Jeremiah 30:16. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, all right, adversary is another word for enemy, and all thy adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all they that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. Ooh, all right. Call Halayim Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakal Quickdash, man. All right. Let's go back. All right. The island of Hispaniola, as we have said, the island of Hispaniola was the first to witness the arrival of Europeans and the first to suffer the wholesale slaughter of its people and the devastation and depopulation of the land. It all began with the Europeans taking native women and children both as servants and to satisfy their own base appetites. You see, they have took us for captivity, so now they got to go into captivity, man. All right, it all began with the Europeans taking native women and children both as servants to satisfy their own base appetites. Then, not content with what the local people offered them of their own free will, all right, they started taking for themselves the food the natives contrived to produce by the sweat of their brows, which was in all honesty little enough. All right, since what a European will consume in a single day normally supports 3 native households of 10 persons of 10 persons each for a whole month. That goes to show you that Esau Edom, the so-called white man, all he does is take, and keep on taking, man. The scriptures say if they go to take grapes, would they not leave some grapes? All right, until they had enough? Nah, Esau won't leave no grapes, man. Matter of fact, let's grab that too as well. All right, what's that? Obadiah. Let's grab that, all right? Which when you read the book of Obadiah, all right, it concerns the nation of Edom. This whole book, which is only one chapter, all right? The book of Obadiah is only one chapter, all right? This whole chapter is talking about the nation of Edom, which is the so-called white man, all right? And what's getting ready to happen to him, all right? So when you read, I forgot what verse it is. It says, grapes. Yeah, right here, all right? Verse 5. Obadiah 1 and 5. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, all right, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? Yeah, Esau Edom. When people steal, usually when people steal, all right, they steal till they have enough, all right. But Esau Edom, the so-called white man, he just keeps on stealing. Nothing is never enough for Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right, starting with the elite banking families, they just keep on taking, man. That's the nature of the white man, of the so-called white man, man. Esau Edom, man. Starting with the elite banking families. All right, that's why they rule this planet Earth, and all they do is just take, and conquer, right? It says, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? Yeah, you would think they would still leave something behind, but nah, Esau Edom, all he does is take everything, man. All right, that's why it says when you read here, it says what the natives offered them wasn't enough. They took what was more than enough. All right, let's read that again. It says, it all began with the Europeans taking native women and children both as servants and to satisfy their own base appetites. Then, not content with what the local people offered them of their own free will, they started taking for themselves the food the natives contrived to produce by the sweat of their brows, which was, in all honesty, little enough. All right. Since what a European will consume in a single day normally supports three native households of 10 persons each for a whole month, you see? All right. And since the newcomers began to subject the locals to other vexations, assaults, and iniquities, the people began to realize that these men could not in truth have descended from the heavens, you see? Because all Esau Edom is about is bringing hell on earth, man. That's all he's about, is bringing hell on earth. Matter of fact, let's get that in the book of Revelation. Revelation, the 6th chapter. All right, when you read about the red horse, all right, and the pale horse, all right. Matter of fact, let's get it. Where am I at? Right here, all right. So it says Revelation 6 and 7. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. All right. And his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed. Yeah. All right. The pale horse, the red horse, and the pale horse both, represents Esau, Edom. All right. And it says, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed. Yeah, because that's what Esau, Edom brings upon this earth. That's what the white man brings upon this earth. Nothing but death and hell. All right. And power was given unto them over the fourth part of the earth to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. Yeah. All right. So that represents all the hell and atrocity that Esau, Edom brings upon this earth. You see, to kill with the sword. That was Esau, Edom's blessing, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. All right, you see? So let's get into it. All right, let's keep reading. It says some of them started to conceal what food they had. Others decided to send their women and children into hiding, and yet others took to the hills to get away from the brutal and ruthless cruelty that was being inflicted on them. Yeah. All right. And Esau, Edom, has a lot to pay for, bro. Going all the way back to the Greeks, going back to all the way when they were still known as Edomites, man. You know? All right. It says the Christians punched them, talking about, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, which, the word Christian just means follower of the Messiah. All right, which the true Christians can only be Israelites. The only ones that can follow the Messiah are the Israelites, man. No other race or nation can be a Christian, man, or Mashiachium. All right, it says the Christians punched them, all right, which Christians here would be the Esau, Edom, the Edomites, the white men. All right, the Christians punched them, boxed their ears, and flogged them in order to track down the local leaders. And the whole shameful process came to a head when one of the European commanders raped the wife of the paramount chief of the entire island. All right, it was then that the locals began to think of ways, all right, of driving the Europeans out of their lands and to take up arms against them. Their weapons, however, were flimsy and ineffective both in attack and defense. All right. It says here, parentheses, and indeed war in the Americas is no more deadly than our jousting. All right. Or than many European children games. All right. But it says again, it says, however, however, were flimsy and effective both in attack and in defense. All right. And with their horses and swords and lances, the Spaniards easily fended them off, killing them and committing all kind of atrocities against them. Come on, man. It says they forced their way into native settlements, slaughtering everyone. All right. they found there, including small children, old men, pregnant women, all right, and even women who had just given birth. Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is the devil that the Bible speaks of. All right, literally. All right, he is the devil that the Bible speaks of. That wicked race that the Bible speaks of. Esau, Edom, the Edomites, the so-called white man, man. You see, they forced their way into native settlements, slaughtering everyone they found there. All right, and the Lord said, all right, let's get it again. Jeremiah 30. All right. All they that devoured thee shall be devoured. All right. Jeremiah 30 and 16. Therefore, all they that devoured thee shall be devoured. And we're reading right now, all right, in this book, how Esau, Edom is devouring, slaughtering the Israelites, man. Straight devouring the Israelites, man. All right. Therefore, all they that devoured thee shall be devoured, and all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoiled thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for prey. This is the Lord talking to the Israelites, man. All right, everyone that devoured us, the Israelites, you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans, all right, we gonna take them captives because they took us captives. All right, you also read about that the first 3 verses in Isaiah 14, man. All right, come on, man. It says let's read that again. It says they forced their way into native settlements, slaughtering everyone they found there, including small children, old men, pregnant women, and even women who had just given birth. They hacked them to pieces. Come on, man. They hacked them to pieces, man. All right, and the scriptures talk about, like we just read Jeremiah. The Lord said He gonna give all that took us for prey. All right, He's gonna give them to us for a prey. All right, it says, "They that prey upon thee will I give for a prey." All right, and as we're reading right here, all right, they hacked them to pieces. Yeah, they hacked the Israelites to pieces, man, with their swords and their axes. All right, it says they hacked them to pieces, and the scriptures say that we're gonna break them into pieces, man, because they broke us into pieces, man. Let's get that. All right, we're gonna break them to shivers, man. All right, I think that's how it goes. All right, matter of fact, let's get that. Revelation 2, I think it is. Revelation 2 and yeah, all right. It says right here, Revelation 2 and 27. I'll start at verse 26. This is Yahweh Shai speaking. This is the Messiah speaking. All right, Revelation 2 and 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. Yeah, because that's talking about the elect. All right, we're going to rule over this planet Earth, and we're going to rule over these other nations. All right, when Yahweh Shai comes back. All right, Lord willing, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Ratazah, I am of that number, I am of the elect. All right, Revelation 2 and 27, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. We're going to rule these other nations with the rod of iron. Just like how they ruled over us, we're going to rule over them twice much, man. How they ruled over us, man. And they ruled over us with rigor, man. All right, it says, and he shall rule them with a rod of iron. As the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers, man. So they broke us, man. So we're going to break them into shivers, into pieces, man. All right, into powder. All right, even as I received of my Father. All right, and that goes back to Psalms. What's that? Psalms 2. Psalms 2 and 8. All right. Psalms 2 of 8. Acts of me, and I shall give the heathen for thy inheritance. Yeah, the heathen are going to be our possession. All right, they're going to be our captives, our subjects, our slaves in the kingdom of heaven. All right, ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thy inheritance, and the uttermost parts of the earth for thy possession. Thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. So just like they broke us into pieces, all right, we're going to dash them into pieces also. All right, this is the Lord telling us that he's going to give the other nations to us. They're going to be our slaves in the kingdom of heaven. Right, thou shalt break them with a rod of iron. Thou shalt dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. All right. So Esau, Edom, get ready to be our slave, and all these other nations. All right. You Ishmaelites, you Elamites. All right. You Canaanites, you Cushites. All right. You're gonna be our slaves, man. All right. To the nation of Israel, to the Negro, Latino, Native American man when Yahweh Shai returns, man. All right. Let's keep reading. All right. It says they hacked them to pieces, slicing their bellies with the swords. All right, as though they were so many sheep herded into a pen. All right. It says they even laid wagers on whether they could manage to slice a man into at a stroke, or cut an individual's head from his body, or disemboweled him with a single blow of their axes. You see that, man? You don't think, because up until this day, Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, he never paid for this yet, man. But he is going to pay for it, man, as we've been reading throughout the scriptures, man. You see? All right. It says they grabbed suckling infants. You think Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, is never going to have to pay for this? Huh? Especially since they done this to the apple of the Lord's eye, the nation of Israel. You Israelites, man, you Negroes, you Latinos, you Native Americans. You think they're not gonna have to pay for what they have done to God's chosen people, man? All right, the Israelites, man. Come on, man. It says they grabbed suckling infants by the feet, and ripping them from their mother's breast, dashed them headlong against the rocks. All right. And when you go into a book called The Negro Question Part 1, all right, it shows you pictures of that, man, of Esau, Edom dashing the infants. They took the infants and dashed their heads against the rocks, man. And the Lord, since they dashed, we're going to do that to them. The scriptures say that. Let's get that, man. All right. Happy shall he be who take thy little ones and dash them against the stone. All right. Let's get that. Let's get that real quick. All right. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me Google it real quick. All right. Psalms 137 and 9. All right. Let's get it. Did it come up here? Nah. All right. Let's get it, though. Psalms 137. The experience of captivity, you see? All right, the experience of captivity. It says, Psalms 137 and 9, happy shall he be that taketh and dashes thy little ones against the stones. All right. It says, O daughter of Babylon, who art thou to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dashes thy little ones against the stones. So we going to take their little ones and dash them against the stones, because they took our little ones and dashed them against the stones, man. Come on. They grabbed suckling infants by the feet, and ripping them from their mother's breast, dashed them headlong against the rocks. All right. Others, laughing and joking all the while, threw them over their shoulders into a river, shouting, wriggle, you little perisher. All right. It says they slaughtered anyone and everyone in their path. All right, on occasion running through a mother and her baby with a single thrust of the sword, of their sword. All right. And the scriptures say, as we read, Revelation 13 and 10. All right, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. So Esau, Edom got a lot to pay for, man. All right. They spared no one, erecting especially wide gibbets on which they could string their victims up with their feet just off the ground, and then burn them alive 13 at a time in honor of our Savior and the 12 apostles, or tie dry straw to their bodies and set fire to it. All right. Some they chose, all right, to keep alive and simply cut their wrist, leaving their hands dangling, saying to them, "Take this letter," meaning that their sorry condition would act as a warning to those hiding in the hills. All right. The way they normally dealt, all right, with the native leaders and nobles was to tie them to a kind of griddle consisting, all right, excuse me, of sticks resting on pitchforks, driven into the ground, and then grill them over a slow fire. All right, with the result that they howled in agony and despair, and they died a lingering death. You see the bro? You see how devilish, all right, Esau Edom is, how wicked and how wicked he is, man. How he dealt with the children of Israel, man. All right. So matter of fact, let's get that in. Let me pull out my scriptures real quick. You might hear my page flipping. All right, Ezekiel. Well, let's get is it Isaiah? Let me get Isaiah real quick. All right, Isaiah. Give me a second. Give me a second. It might be Ezekiel 25. All right. Yeah. All right. Let's get Ezekiel 25. All right. Ezekiel 25. All right. So it says Ezekiel 25 and 12. All right. It says Ezekiel 25 and 12. Thus saith the Lord God Yahweh. All right. Because that Edom has dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and has greatly offended and revenged himself upon them. Therefore, thus saith the Lord God Yahweh, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman, and from Day of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to my anger and according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, saith the Lord. Yeah, so because Edom has dealt with us treacherously, all right, as we're reading right here, you see how Esau Edom, the so-called white man, has dealt with the nation of Israel. All right, and the Lord said that he's going to use us to deal with them twice more how they dealt with us, man. You know? All right. It says, and I will lay vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. So the Lord is going to use us to lay vengeance upon Edom. All right. The same thing they done to us that we're going to do to them, man. Come on, man. All right. So it said, it once happened that I myself witnessed their grilling, all right, of 4 or 5 local leaders in this fashion. All right, when the poor creature's howls came between the Spaniards' commander and his sleep. All right, it says he gave orders that the prisoners would be throttled, but the man in charge of the execution detail, who was more bloodthirsty than the average common hangman, all right, was loath to cut short his private entertainment by throttling them, and so he personally went round ramming wooden bungs into their mouths to stop them making such a racket, and deliberately stoked the fire so that they would take just as long to die as he himself chose. I saw all these things for myself and many others besides, all right? And since all those who could do so took to the hills and mountains, all right, in order to escape the clutches of these merciless and inhumane butchers. These mortal enemies of humankind train hunting dogs to track them down. Wild dogs who would savage a native to death as soon as looked at him, tearing him to shreds and devouring his flesh as though he were a pig. These dogs these dogs wrought havoc among the natives, all right, and were responsible for much carnage. And when, as happened as the excuse me, and when, as happened on the odd occasions, the locals did kill a European, as given the enormity of the crimes committed against them, they were all they were they were in all justice fully entitled to. The Spanish came to an unofficial agreement among themselves that for every European killed, 100 natives would be executed. All right, all right. So that's the end of that chapter. All right, talking about Hispaniola. All right, so you see, all right, Esau Edom got a bro. You see, man. All right, how wicked and you know how Esau Edom has always dealt with Israel, man. They got a lot to pay for real, man. All right, so Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Tazad, this lesson was edifying, man. Lord willing, this lesson was edifying, man. All right, so I want to say, call Halayim Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim Rakah Quitash. All right, so unto the next one, Shalom, Shalom.